Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of This Team is Trash Talk. And today we got a lot to talk about. I don't know where we're gonna exactly go with this because I have no desire to talk about any of the previous games. I really don't. The Seattle game pissed me off enough, and maybe we'll take some live callers again too, like we did last episode, because that was entertaining, especially our last caller last time. We apologize again, Vitaly, that we put you at the end of the line there last time. But again, we saved the best for last. That's what we did. Uh, but yeah, we're gonna talk about a lot. Nico, unfortunately, wasn't here last episode, and
Yeah, I couldn't make it sadly, but we're back. And
I think that was after a brutal game too. So it's becoming a theme at this point. So it is what it is. This team is just dreadful to watch, and nothing like staying up late to watch this team play like trash.
oh my God, I mean these West Coast games. Look, I expected to go to win yesterday. Simple as that. I thought the team would wake up, get their act together. These teams we're playing are not very good, but why would
You
they
thought
do
that?
that? Silly of me, silly of me to even expect anything out of this team. Just embarrassing. It truly is. They got to get their act together these next three games. Inexcusable. I think you got to win all three. I'm not satisfied if you don't.
Agree. I think there's seriously going to be a decision to be made when it comes to coaching. If they go 0-4 on this road trip somehow, I think Gallant, if he's not on the hot seat, I think that management is just absolutely moronic at that point. You have to consider some sort of change at that point, and too bad he can't make any changes with the roster because he decided to lock these guys up to all these deals with no move clauses and everything. So you can't do any sort of little retool or anything there. I don't know. And yeah, gotta win all three. If not,
Mm-hmm.
no, there is no 5 out of 6 points. No, there is no
Six
five out of
out
six.
of six. No excuse.
There's no 5 out of 6. You have to actually get your act together and win all these games because the level of competition you're playing is flat out dog shit, and you had to beat Seattle. That is a team that has not won a overtime game in the history of their franchise in their building.
Well, of course. Why wouldn't we be the first? And you know who else we play soon? The winless in regulation
I
Anaheim
was about to
Ducks.
mention
And
that.
yep, I'm sure. I'm sure we'll be in for a little bit of something right there in history.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, and yeah, Jalen, this team is that's a nice way of putting it. They're far
Yeah,
from
just
ass.
simple to the point.
Hey, the Rangers are playing like shit right now, but every deep playoff team last year sucks right now. We can't look at that perspective though. I don't like that mindset of looking at it like, oh yeah, there's teams struggling like the Avalanche. I know they're struggling right now a bit. I know Tampa struggled to start out of the gate. It doesn't matter. There's no excuses here. And if you want to be a cup team, you have to actually beat up on these garbage teams. I'm sick of it. And at least these teams that are cup contenders or legit cup contenders like the Avalanche and Lightning, you're seeing them put together quality efforts. The Rangers haven't done it since opening night. And
Nope.
I don't know if we're going to see another full effort from this team again because as long as Gallant's behind the bench, because I don't think he has the room. I don't think these players are good enough. I think the leadership is absolute dog shit. Uh, there's nothing that makes me think any differently about this team, like in a positive mindset. There's nothing, and they're showing nothing from that conference final run last year.
Yeah, I mean, you tweeted it earlier. Like how Igor is the only one that's taking accountability on this team. It's pathetic.
Oh yeah, we didn't
He's
even
the
get to
one.
that.
Yeah, I mean, he's the one keeping the Rangers in these games again. A replication of what he did all of last season, and the fact that he's the one that has to come out and say he's not playing good is it's embarrassing. I mean, where's our captain, Jacob Trouba? You wanna say a little something for what you're doing out there this year, or nah? It's all right.
Nobody wants to
It,
say anything because nobody
it's
could be
unreal.
accountable. And the fact
Yep.
that Igor's the only one, and they have this guy doing meditation because of how stressed out he is playing for this organization.
He's gonna
It's
want out.
it's fucking if he ever asked out, just hit the reset button again on the organization. I mean, seriously, what's the point? What's the point at that point if he does? I don't think he's going to, because I think it's more him. I think he's kind of like DeGrom in the way where DeGrom will let up 2 runs and still be like, yeah, I need to do better out there. I think he's kind of like that, where it's like, yeah, I need to do better. When in reality, he's not the issue. You and I know it. Every fan knows it. And I got to disagree with this. Gallant's fine and Drury is fine. I disagree with both of those things. And yeah, I don't know why Trouba has to say.
It's a question we'll never know.
Gallant can't play bottom 6 minutes. Nobody on this team can. Nobody on this team could play in general. Gallant needs to get them prepared. Why is it Gallant's fault? Because what system are they playing? What is their system? They're running out there like a bunch of headless chickens.
Yeah.
Okay, does anybody have answers for how they're playing? Because I don't.
Like when he was meeting with the media, I remember a reporter asking him, like, what's the identity of this team? And he just spewed out a garbage answer. There's just no established system this team runs. It's embarrassing. I mean, you put it perfectly. It's headless chickens out there. Just dumb penalties taken in that last game. Don't shoot the puck. Defense is sloppy. It's just everything's going wrong.
Listen, like the first year, it didn't matter. You just let the players play. Now we need the coaches to direct us and guide us in what we need to do to take that next step towards the Stanley Cup. And I don't think Gallant is good at doing that, clearly. And we're seeing the results of it right now. We're 6-4-3 or something like that, our record.
I believe so, yeah. No, 6-4-4, I think now.
What, our record on the year?
Oh, no. Yeah, no.
No, we're
actually,
8-6-4.
8-6-4.
Jeez.
That's still not great. And we're in the second wild card spot with this team. And we have teams like the Islanders ahead. Jersey's hot, but, they're ahead.
Jersey's taking advantage of the bad teams.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm not saying we would have been above Jersey, but if we just, beat the teams that we're supposed to beat, we'd be right there with them, and we wouldn't be having this discussion. We'd be probably discussing, possible trade packages for the deadline, but now we're discussing who should our new head coach be. And
I got to disagree with this comment real quick, too. There's nothing backing up that they're going to turn this around, because the first part before, a couple weeks ago, you said this. Okay, the advanced analytics at the very least backed up the fact that they were getting the opportunities and that there was a chance that they might turn around. I saw a tweet earlier today. Those numbers have regressed like crazy. They are now like 30th in the league in their 30th, 20 something, whatever, in most of the analytics. There is nothing backing up that this team is going to turn it around. If anything, they've gotten worse over the past few weeks. And the fact that you played that piss poor of an effort against the Arizona Coyotes tells me the story of this team. And I disagree again here. I'm sorry, but if it's every single player that's not playing well enough, it's your coach. It is your coach. Because how is it possible that nobody's playing good? Yeah, Brett is playing garbage defensively. Yeah, the bottom 6 isn't putting up points. But that also goes on Drury, too. The roster construction's garbage.
Mm-hmm. The message isn't getting, across to these players. And, like Evan said, I think he's lost the room. I think the team looks lost. They don't have any confidence. It looks like they don't know what they're doing. And it's really sad to see, because we made a deep run and then here we are back to square one with David Quinn, seems like, right? So I think right now, I mean, I'm a fan of Chris Drury still. I don't think he's done anything to really make me think twice about him, but Gallant, I mean, now we're starting to see why he couldn't last, in Florida, Vegas, and I mean Columbus. I don't. They didn't really have a good team back when he first started, but more specifically Florida and Vegas, times that we were around really watching hockey. I mean, we're starting to see why. They didn't hold on to him more than 2 years. So yeah, it really is a shame, but I think most of it comes on Gallant. Not. I mean, even last year, our 5v5 for most of the year was terrible. Our defense was piss poor. Igor was bailing us out, kind of like he did in the Kraken game. And we're not helping Igor out, at all. Past couple of years, we haven't been. So, honestly, we haven't been at all, even with David Quinn. Our defense still wasn't great.
Except for when Jacques Martin was here, that was the best our defense has been since God only knows when.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is a shame. I have no words for this team. I think they need to retool, and if they really keep playing like this, down the stretch, January and early February, they got to make a decision. What are we doing? Are we going to retool? Or are we still going to try to make a push for the playoffs? But I mean, as of right now, we should be, retooling. But hopefully things change. But I don't know. There's no signs of, things getting better. It just seems like, it keeps getting worse and worse. And we're still inconsistent, and we're a week away from Thanksgiving, So, I mean, we'll see what happens this West Coast trip. If we lose, if we get swept in the West Coast trip,
something has to change.
Yeah, I'm curious about Gallant's status as the coach. And besides Benoit Allaire, if we keep losing, especially, to teams like the Kraken. I mean, credit to the Kraken. They changed, like, their style of play, like they're more conservative, they're defensive minded. So, but that's not even that. If you compare the rosters, the Rangers are by far a better team, and you should be beating those teams. And even the Nashville Predators, how are you going to lose to the Nashville Predators?
Especially when Saros has been having the year he's having. Yeah. Even the Islanders put 4 or 5 past him last night.
Yeah, something has got to change. I think we need to get a coach that can give us an identity as a team. Are we more aggressive style kind of hockey team, or are we going to be more conservative and drop back in the neutral zone? So, I mean, we'll see what happens. If we, like I said, if we get swept, things will change. But for now, I guess we'll just have to keep watching the games and see what happens. So.
Yeah, and I really don't trust anyone. And to get back to Matthew's point too, why can't it be both too? Why can't it be both the players and the coach? Because I think that both are the issue here. And part of the problem is the fact that everybody peaked last year. Igor was the best goalie season since Dominik Hasek. You had Chris Kreider score 50 goals. Artemi Panarin put up a career high in points. Mika Zibanejad put a career high up in points. Barca Gudjoe had a career year in points. Everybody just peaked at the right time. That was the issue here. And the problem is you need your younger guys to take the next step forward. They aren't taking the next step forward. And part of the issue is I don't know why they don't work in the top 6, but they don't, especially Lafreniere. He looks lost out there. And even right now on that third line, he looks lost. I don't know what the issue is there. Kakko's the only one that's the only forward, really, I could say, that has been there on a nightly basis. And that's a problem. That is a problem when you're paying $8.5 million to Mika Zibanejad. That is a problem when you're paying $11.6 to Artemi Panarin. When you're paying $6.5 to Kreider. Where are these guys? They need to play better. It's simple as that. And I know that you're not going to expect them to have years like they did last year, but they need to be better. And right now, this shit doesn't fly. The 15 points that Kreider has, it's quiet. Panarin as well. Zibanejad at even strength. What is he doing? They need to actually wake the fuck up. And it's unacceptable from every single one of these guys. And as much as we do praise Kakko, he's still not putting up the points.
Yeah. I mean, we're seeing the flashes out of him. He's got great control of the puck. He's a big body. He stays on it well, but like as you said, he doesn't put up the points, and that's what we need. Like we expect to give us 40 points. How many points does he have right now? 7.
Yeah.
It's just like one of these guys, Kako and Lafreniere, who are so hyped up. Like it's time to start scoring. They just look like they're just out there. We need to see more from them, and it sucks because
You look across the Hudson right now.
yeah, Hughes and Heischer, and you're jealous. Let me tell you.
I mean, to be fair, in Kako's and Lafreniere's defense, they weren't able to step right into the Rangers and get top 6 minutes right away, especially
more power play time, which they should be on the power play because Trocheck doesn't belong there.
Right.
That's another discussion.
But I hate when people make the comparison to like Laffy and Hughes or Heischer and Kako or vice versa, whatever. But it's like for Heischer and Hughes, they were able to step right in and play first line minutes, but
the only issue I have right now is you watch the way those guys are playing right now. They are looking dominant. And I'm watching Nico Heischer snipe one top cheese yesterday. Where is that from Lafreniere? He doesn't shoot the puck. He doesn't. You were drafted first overall.
No one shoots the puck on this team. Everyone's passing. Everyone's being unselfish. I mean, everyone needs to be a little bit more selfish, Yeah, it's just like I said, this goes back to my point. This team has no confidence in, when you're not playing with confidence, you're not going to shoot the puck. So you're going to pass up, scoring chances. And that's where every Ranger fan is saying we're overpassing, that relates to lack of confidence, especially with the puck. We don't even know what we're doing.
And then when they do shoot the puck, they miss the net. They're 5th in the league in shots that miss the net.
Yeah, it just honestly just seems like this team, made one run and they just kind of lost all motivation. Last year they had something to prove. They did, and now they just lost motivation. They just saying oh, let's just sit back and play hockey.
That's why I was so desperate for them to win it last year because I had a feeling that part of it was too good to be true, especially with how much everything went right. It's difficult to get back there. And that's why when everyone was like, oh, well, it's fine. It's a step forward that they made the conference finals. No, you don't get there every year. You don't. And
statistics back it up.
Yeah, you had to capitalize on the opportunity. And I agree with this, with David's comment. Yeah, they're a mediocre team with great goaltending. That's at least what they look like right now until proven otherwise. That could change in a week. That could change in a month, whenever. But as of right now, yeah, I completely agree with this comment.
Yeah, on the ice, yeah, but we know what this team is really capable of. But right now, I'm perfectly okay with saying that. Unfortunately, they are mediocre, but we know that they have a lot more. They just got to find it in them.
Yeah, and whether it's a coaching change or something, I think they really need someone to discipline them. I stayed up for nothing last night to watch the game and be tired for school this morning. Like I say all the time, just don't stay up and watch the games. I'll do the recaps. Just watch those because what's the point of staying up to watch this atrocity? What is even the point? And okay, they've played like shit, but they're 8-6-4. Okay, try this in the playoffs. Try playing like this in the playoffs. You're a first-round exit. It's not sustainable.
It's not. I mean, you're 2 games under 500 when you take these garbage overtime losses into account.
That's how.
Yeah. I mean, we can't hold ourselves to these high standards of being a cup contending team like we thought we were, and playing like this. It's not going to fly, as you said. The playoffs, getting bounced round 1, simple as that. At this rate.
You know what's crazy? 8-6-4 just a few years back isn't a bad record. Like if we were having this podcast just a little over 5 years ago, we'd be like, okay. We're in a good position. Like, don't panic. But now everyone is, getting 54, 55 wins. Like, it's nothing. Everyone 50 plus wins like it's nothing. And 8-6-4, we have the Red Wings right behind us, and they were just, in a worse rebuild than, probably, right? Would you guys agree? And we were in, right?
Yeah.
And here they are, they're making a comeback, and we're in the second wild card spot, 8-6-4. Like, the league has changed. I mean, 8-6-4 is terrible. Like, now it's not great, especially when you lose to teams like the Kraken, or almost lose to teams like the Coyotes. Even though we won 4-1, or I think that was a score. Like the first period, we only get like 4 shots, and then you lose to teams like Nashville. It's 8-6-4. It's, with this team especially, it's not acceptable.
Especially considering going into the year,
Yeah,
we all had them in first place. We all did. Too many players with limited talent playing top 9 minutes. They have 2 second lines, not Gallant's fault. Well, I agree with part of this that, Drury poorly constructed this roster, and there's not enough talent in the top 6 to succeed. But at the same time, Gallant, if he had an established system, maybe things would actually be working differently. I think that's part of the issue. And listen, I'm not saying that the coach, if you change coaches, it's going to be a night and day difference and everything's going to be fine. But you got to try something. And with how committed you are to the core because of these contracts, what other choice do you have but to make a coaching change? You don't have another choice. And go through one more coaching change. If that doesn't work, then you blow up the core and you do a soft reset, and you actually have Lafreniere and Kakko be the future of the franchise, because that's all you have left. That's the only option. And Dallas, I never said that I wouldn't miss Copp. Maybe I said that he wasn't worth the money, but when did I say I wasn't going to miss him on the team? Because I did agree that losing those guys hurt, but the cap's the thing, and paying $5.6 million to Andrew Copp was not ideal.
I mean, obviously he was a crucial part of the team in the second half, but I mean, you weren't getting Trocheck if you brought him back, right? So
no, it was one or the other.
If I wanted them to go back in time and pay $5 million to whoever, would have been Zuccarello or Buchnevich, because them in the top 6 right now would be helping. And I never would have gave Barclay Goodrow that atrocity of a contract they did. And you never would have paid Patrick Nemeth, and Ryan Reeves getting paid too is just moronic. That's another thing. You have Ryan Reeves making $1.7 million to be your 13th forward when you could have kept guys like Mott and Rooney around who bring value to the team.
They're gonna end up trading Reeves.
How many times do I say it at this point? I'm a broken record at this point on these podcasts. If Kakko and Laffy do not get much better very soon, they will not make the playoffs. It's not even just them, though. Nobody in the top 6 is performing. Nobody.
Team, yeah, pretty much.
No doubt.
If if our top forwards are not found on the ice tomorrow night, I'm not watching the Rangers until the FIFA World Cup ends. Do it. I don't blame you.
Evan, it actually just hit me. I remember talking to you right before the season started, and I told you. You remember what I said about this team? I said this team makes me a little bit more nervous than the year before, and you thought I was nuts, and here we are.
Fair. I mean, we all agreed mutually, though. This year's team at the start of this year is better than the start of last year's team. We all mutually agreed on that. I don't think anyone denied it, but yeah, I was completely
I don't
wrong.
know. I just had questions with this team if, they were actually going to meet the expectations that, people are setting for them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's one thing to go into a year with no expectations. You have less pressure on you. You could just play freely. But now you have a lot of pressure on you, and I don't think the players are handling it very well, and it's showing. But with our record,
the playoffs is what fooled me. With how good they played in that Carolina series, and parts of that Tampa series.
You can disagree with me. I hate to admit it. I really hate to admit it, but we low key probably should have gotten bounced in round 1. I think
Yeah.
Carolina was our complete series. But after that, Tampa, we blew the 2-0 lead. And then even though we came back 3-1 from Pittsburgh,
No Crosby, Domingue.
I really feel like Pittsburgh just played a better overall overall hockey game, just from game 1 to game 7, even though they blew a 3-1 lead. I don't.
They got worked for the most part in that series, if we're being honest.
That's what I was trying to say. I hate to admit it, and I love the Rangers, but I just want what's best for this team, and the reality of it is, we weren't really in control for that series until really they lost Raquel. They lost. I'm not going to use the goalie as an excuse because I don't know who. I know Evan doesn't want to use it as an excuse, but and then losing Crosby, that's a big blow. That's like for us losing like Panarin, or even Igor.
Igor's more of a fair comparable there.
Yeah, but yeah, the playoffs could have definitely fooled us, but I guess it kind of shows what kind of potential this team could have if things go well, But I wish we just, didn't blow the 2-0 lead, and I'd rather just gotten swept by Colorado, because at least I could, I could say that, hey, we made the cup final. But hey, that's just me, though.
Just we were anticipating this season. I mean, we knew we were losing some crucial pieces, like Vetrano, Kopp.
It doesn't matter this much.
I know. I mean, we anticipated Lafreniere, Kakko taking the next step. Kreider, not replicating what he did with the 50 goals, but, maybe 3/4, right? And he's not even going to come close to 50 goals. As you said, Panarin career year, Mika career year, Barclay Goodrow career year, just everything went so right at the right time. It just, I don't know how sustainable it really is, but I'm hoping
no expectations, no pressure. They were able to play freely, and now they're shook and they have no confidence. And look what's happening to us, right? And back to Evan's point, from a few episodes ago, we don't need like a full disciplinarian, like a David Quinn or I know Torts has softened up a little bit with that, but we want to discipline the players to hold them accountable, but we don't want them, we don't want
I disagree now. I think this team needs a full disciplinarian. I really do.
But look what happened with David Quinn, though. You know what I mean? And that we were saying
David Quinn. But the problem with David Quinn is he didn't have a set system either. He relied way too much on his assistants. That's the issue with that. This team needs a full disciplinarian now. And
no, I know, but I'm just saying, I don't want to go back to the, using the excuse, Lafreniere or Kakko isn't given, a chance. They make one mistake out of their bench. We went through that.
The thing is, but that's the other difference. They need someone that's going to hold all the players to the same standards like a John Tortorella does. They need a guy that will come in here and all 23 guys on the roster are treated the exact same, no matter their cap hit, no matter the name on their jersey. If Panarin makes a lazy defensive play, then sit his ass on the bench. It needs to be everybody held to the same standard, and that's the only way to get this team to wake up, because the veterans feel too safe right now. Kreider, he got moved down the fourth line in that Detroit game, thrown right back out there in overtime like nothing mattered. They need someone that's going to actually bench them, and when they bench them, they actually mean it. And it's for reasoning, because right now these leaders feel way too safe with their role. Way too safe, because they can keep making the same mistakes, same bonehead plays, don't have to lead by example. They're making their money, showing up, and that's it. They can keep doing lazy efforts and everything, getting away with it, because Gallant is only going to sit the younger guys if they make mistakes, like we saw last night when Lafreniere and Kakko weren't out there in overtime. Instead, you had Barclay Goodrow and Jimmy Vesey out there. Great decision-making. And it depends how they win the 5 games, Matthew. If they go on a 5-game win streak, it depends how they win these games. Because they could go on the 5-game win streak and win like they did against the Coyotes, and it won't say much to me. But if they actually show dominant efforts like they did against Tampa, like they did against Philly, okay. I'm a little more excited and I'm a bit more confident in the team. But right now, yeah, but they weren't good going into the playoffs last year. Playing well, the team was playing mid the last 5 games following. Yeah, I mean they weren't playing great going into the playoffs, but although I disagree, I think they played their best hockey going into the playoffs. Were they playing a
Second half,
perfect
like
game? But
post deadline.
yeah, post trade deadline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm worried that we're not gonna be like last season's Islanders, who lost like for a whole month and then just did good but just missed a playoff spot. I don't know. I don't know if I have confidence in them even having a hot streak right now with the way they're playing. There's nothing that tells me that they could actually get on a hot streak. There's really nothing. Unless there's a coaching change, at least a defensive coaching change, because I don't know what Gordon Murphy has these guys doing, but it's embarrassing. They were not great last year. They were not good 5v5. They had Kreider with 52 goals and Igor would win the Vezina. They have no money and will need to rebuild again. They have no talent.
Mm,
I
They have
disagree
the talent.
to an extent with certain things. Yeah, they weren't good 5v5. Yeah, Kreider had 52 goals and Igor definitely bailed them out. I disagree though that they have no talent. I disagree with that. They
and
have the
we
talent.
wouldn't have to rebuild it again. If anything, it would just be a retool.
Yeah.
Just sell off a couple of pieces there and there, and you know, the goal still remains to be in the playoffs. But yeah, I definitely not rebuild that. Yeah,
Been there,
No.
done
that
that
might as
already.
well trade Laffy and Kako at that point.
And what's the point of going through another rebuild when it didn't work your first one? What is the point? What
Exactly.
is the point
If
when
it's
this
another-
organization has not developed a player properly since Brian Leach?
That's true.
An
Honestly,
elite
it's
talent.
that truth.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't
What's
seen
the
it.
point? Statboy Steven put out a tweet earlier listing names of top 10 picks that the Rangers have had since Brian Leach. None of those guys have been elite players. None of them. What's the point of going through a rebuild? And I don't even try, like, even first round picks that they make take forever to develop. I'm hoping Othman somehow defies the odds, like I tweeted earlier, but once he puts on that Ranger jersey, God only knows. God only knows. I blame the Lions moving Kakko down. I disagree with this. I disagree with the line combinations. The line combinations have been all over the place all season long. Nothing is working. It's a system problem at this point. It is a leadership problem at this point. Rather than play shit in the first half and turn it up in the second half, they'll find a way in the playoffs. But you got to make the playoffs. You're not going to
No
make the
guarantee.
playoffs.
No, we don't want to. We don't want to play like uphill. I have that uphill battle. That's gonna kill us. Like
You can't play catch up.
Yeah, you can't play catch up. You're gonna kill yourself. I mean, you could turn it up in the second half and then go in hot, but that doesn't happen.
There's a reason it's rare, and everybody points to the St. Louis Blues because they're one of the rarities of it happening.
Yeah, just because it happened to the Blues doesn't mean it's just a rare thing. Ideally, you would want to go into the playoffs comfortably, so you don't have to worry. You can just play through the regular season, no problem, and then come playoff time you're ready, instead of the second half every game has to be a fucking playoff game, and then you actually have to go into the playoffs and play legitimate playoff games. To me, that just doesn't make sense. Unless if you're the St. Louis Blues, then go ahead.
Yeah, you can't get in that uphill battle. You can't. And before I keep reading more comments, anyone in chat, let me know if you are interested in live callers tonight. Maybe we'll take a few a bit later on in the show. And yeah, Cop. I don't know how Cop's really doing in Detroit, but if I'll take your word for the fact that he's been mid, that doesn't surprise me because he played with Panarin for the most part when he was here. So that I think that was part of why. Been watching since Rod Gilbert. They haven't really been. They've been really good for about 10 of the last 50 seasons. It's just part of culture. The life of being a Ranger fan. You gotta love it. I would have given either Mott 1.5 or 2.5 to Vetrano over Kakko. I disagree with this. This I gotta disagree with. Kakko has way more upside than Frank Vetrano and a lot more than Tyler Mott, even more than Tyler Mott. And this is coming from the guy that is I think I'm the Tyler Mott fan king. I lead the cult, but no, Kakko easily over those two guys. It's not a question with the ceiling that he has.
Yeah. And worst case, we may have to build around Kakko and Laffy, Imagine if we never had Kakko, then it's just Laffy and just becomes that much tougher.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. We underappreciated Rooney.
Yeah, we did.
We did,
especially
but we
with Ryan Carpenter being as ass as he is.
No, yeah. I mean, Rooney was good, but Carpenter isn't much better, but at the same time, it's they both weren't spectacular. Obviously, I'll say I've seen better fourth liners from past Ranger teams. I'll just say that.
Yeah, agree with that. You obviously look at 2014, and that stands out to you.
Yeah.
Thank you, David. We appreciate this. I'm such a passionate Ranger fan, but I agree with Nick, and I believe we got super lucky in the playoffs. That's why I don't like Troops, because he's known for making difference by being dirty. Well, that's all he could do. He could only throw hits. He can't skate.
He can't play defense. Came and poke the puck away from an opponent. His best bet is to throw a hit. And what was that game? It was against against Nashville. That Parsonen goal, the first goal. Dude literally could have easily poked the puck away from him, and the goal wouldn't have ever happened. But you just on the TV screen, you just see some random human being fly by out of nowhere. And what do you know? It's Jacob Trouba trying to throw a big, dirty hit. It's bro, just poke the puck away. Poke the puck. You know what I'm saying?
Yesterday, he almost costed them in overtime when he tried to throw out that hit. He stepped up, threw a big hit, and then Jimmy Vesey had to make a defensive play there. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
No, I don't think Halak has been an issue. And the reason, especially with his last few games, Halak has looked good his last few games.
Yeah,
nobody has looked good in front of him. If we win 5 straight games, what is going to be your guys' feelings hypothetically?
Depends
like I said, it depends how. It depends how.
If they're convincing, wins, then
hey, it could be worse. Because you know why? I care more about the Rangers than the Mets. So yeah, it could be worse.
True.
Coming for what I'm hearing, we need a Mike Keenan right now. Yeah.
It's crazy to think Keenan was with the Rangers only for a year. That's what's crazy. And you want to cut.
Yeah. And they need right now they would it would be great to have a guy like him. Yeah, but look at Carolina. Brendan Moore's system has them ready to be successful in the regular season, but come playoff time, they get bounced by teams who get hot like the Rangers were. Okay, sure, you could make that argument, but at the same time, look how far that led the Rangers. Look how far that led the Rangers. The conference finals, they didn't win it all. They ran to Tampa. Tampa has a set system. Colorado has a set system.
If Carolina was able to win on the road, that series could have probably been finished off, sooner by Carolina. I don't know. Even though it was our more complete series, I don't know.
That was a 50-50 series. That really was.
Carolina didn't look good.
It was just Game 7 that made the difference.
Yeah, specifically on the road for Carolina. If they were able to steal, a game at the Garden, the series would have been a lot different, obviously. But yeah,
if Game 7's really where I look at, and that was the difference maker. If they kept that game close, who knows what would have happened.
it's crazy because
But the rest of the games were 50-50.
Yeah, like Carolina on the road just like looked like a completely different team. Like they just didn't look good. It looked like I felt like we were like watching a regular season game against like a team at the bottom of the standings, in a playoff game. And I just felt like after a goal or two there and there, it's like we had the game in the bag. Like they weren't a threat to the Rangers, when they were playing at MSG.
Yeah, completely agree. And yeah, it wasn't enough, and that's part of why they lost. The real problem is all these vets are signed long term, and we could potentially lose our young pieces because we're locked up so long from free agent / trades. Yeah, a guy like Ryan Linger might have to be moved thanks to Jacob Trouba's contract.
Or we
It's
can just
ridiculous.
like force Truba to waive his no move clause and just.
I beg.
I mean, I like your offer. Just threaten him, be like, "Yo, we're either sending you to the AHL or you're waiving it, and you could still play on an NHL team, just not with us." I like that a lot more.
That's a great idea.
Or just say to him, your full no movement clause becomes a modified one next year. So either pick your destination of where to go, or you stick on the team for one more year.
Send
and
you to
we're gonna trade you
Arizona.
where we want. Yeah.
Is there?
I know, and that's the thing about these high expectations, which honestly might have messed them up. I don't think if the high expectations is what's messing this team up, we have far more issues going on.
I think that's part. I mean, that could be part of the reason.
That can't be part of it. If it is, that's a problem.
That's part. High expectations comes with a lot of pressure. Like I said, like I feel like this team can't handle the pressure at the same time.
Well, then we have.
I'm not going to say that's the sole reason. I'm saying that's probably a part of it. That's probably just a little bit of the problem. But if we had our other problems that are more important fixed, I don't think the expectations and pressure would be that big of a deal. It's just along with not only expectations, but along with the fact you're not playing well, it just doesn't mix well.
I mean, they're professional hockey players. They shouldn't be letting outside expectation noises of, going to the Stanley Cup final get to them. I think that's kind of a garbage way to try and cover it up.
I agree. I don't like that excuse. They have talent. They just can't shoot. Well, that's one issue. You named one for sure.
You need like someone that's like willing to actually take the puck and shoot it. Like on 5v5 specifically, like on the power play, and also the power play, we need like fix it just a tad bit because I feel like teams are actually catching on that we're just looking for Zibanejad and it's making it that much easier to defend against us. And on the power play,
just took 2 seconds to look in the mirror and realize I'm Artemi fucking Panarin.
Yeah,
I have one of the best shots in the league, and actually shot it once it hits the tape instead of hesitating. That would help.
Yeah, and it's making our power play that much more predictable. I think that's also part of the reason we're not as successful as we were last year.
Yeah.
What I don't get is when Clyde says we remember that hurt after the playoff loss, where that pain is pushing them right now. Yeah, well, we haven't seen it. We haven't seen that at all.
I'll talk.
VC, yes, playing well, does not belong on the first line. Gaudreau on the second line. Come on. Yeah, both of them, I'd love them in their bottom 6. And I'd love Barker Gaudreau even more if he wasn't making $3.6 million. When that could have went to a laundry list of players that deserve it more than him.
I feel like this team actually just has no depth. I feel like we're just our depth is just a bunch of grinders and
well, our depth wouldn't be an issue
Vesey.
if they didn't have to play in the top 6. Jimmy Vesey and Barker Gaudreau would be great depth. But the problem is you're forcing these guys in your top 6. That's the issue here. You're right. The lines are all over the place. You can't expect chemistry like that or wait for it to develop, which is why it's taking so long. That's a whole different issue. The line juggling is too much, and they're never going to get chemistry together. We're right back where we were last year, aren't we? Feels like last year all over again.
It does.
In what way? Oh, with the lines? Yeah.
Yeah. Where there is just nobody to play in that top 6 to help the top 2 lines. VC first line was working. Laffy, Kako, and Heedle line was awesome. Bring it for a full-time third. They didn't look good last night. I can tell you that. I thought the Cato line was awful last night.
That's not the solution. We just put the kid line together, expecting absolute wonders of them because the
That's
playoff
all.
run, but it's just not going to solve your problems. There's just so many concerns about the team. It's not one thing; it's multiple things, and it sucks.
How about we just say screw it? Put like Lafreniere on line 1, replace Kreider in line 1, and then put Kako on the right wing as well.
With
That's what I
Mika,
wanted to do.
You just gotta say screw it, and then you know what? Make these guys wake up. Fucking put Trocheck on line 1. Zibanejad just demote him in line 2. This guy's too comfortable in his position. He thinks that nothing's gonna happen to him. He's not, obviously he's not being held accountable. He can have a shit game, and he's still gonna be on line 1 the next day. Put this guy, wake the room up. Put Kreider down. Lafreniere up, Kako up. Put Trocheck on line 1. Zibanejad on line 2. No one's ever.
And if you really want to send
the
a message,
unthinkable, do the unthinkable to open these guys, eyes and be like, oh shit, we actually gotta wake up. And if honestly, if Zibanejad, specifically reacts, poorly to that, like I didn't expect to be put down on line 2. I don't know what he was doing. Then fuck off. Then play better and. Seriously.
Or another thing, send a message by putting Power Play 2 out there a bit more. I don't care how ass they are. Send a message. If you really want to send a message, okay, if you're going to play like shit 5-on-5, you don't get a lot of Power Play time either. Send a message. And I don't know what you're talking about here, Matthew. Kako has way more of a ceiling than a 15-point season. That's just laughable.
Matthew, and you got some a lot of disagreements tonight.
That's just laughable. There's a reason he went second overall. There's a reason.
We just got to find that key to unlock his potential. That's all.
He's low-key becoming Goche, where he just can't finish his breakaway opportunities. I don't know why last night on that breakaway chance he didn't lift the puck.
I know. You had him.
Yeah. Goudreau, VC are fourth liners on good teams. Yeah. And Blaze, an AHL player. Yes. Reeves should never see the ice. Yes.
That boy David.
David on a roll.
Oh, yeah. Boom, boom, boom.
We need something to shake this team up at this point. Not saying Kane, but I'm seeing a coaching system change. Yeah, they need to get a different coach in here. They need a disciplinarian, and bringing in Patrick Kane is the last thing that this team needs, because then you're just bringing in another guy who's going to be a veteran, and he's going to feel too safe with his role, and it's going to be more problems. Patrick Kane is the last thing that you need right now. Sorry, Nico, but making sure that the captain was the star of the Rangers' downfall.
Agree. In a
Good
way.
point.
Yeah.
We agree with that.
Halak has looked great in his games. The guys just don't help him. Goaltending is an issue, but it's really a forward and defense issue. Yeah, 100%, Aiden. And yeah, Halak has not been the issue. Same thing for Boston, Carolina, round 1 series. Boston, Carolina was awful in Boston. Yeah, that was another thing too. Carolina just couldn't buy a win on the road at all. Who would you like as captain instead of Trouba? Fox?
Anyone.
Badgett? No one.
Right now,
there is no fucking captain. There's
Right
no
now.
captain.
Yeah.
Well, I agreed with this before. Now I don't agree. Nobody deserves to see on their jersey. Laughable BS. I didn't waste a second overall pick to watch. Missing on breakaways and 10 great looks, but none being finished. Yeah, but to say his ceiling is 15 points is laughable. That's what's laughable. His play right now, okay. You could argue that it's not great and he needs to be better. Fine. I won't disagree with that. But to say that his ceiling is 15 points is laughable. It is. Kreider should be the captain of the Coyotes.
Wow.
Let's go, David. Let's go. David's my guy. You're number 4 for Kakko and not 120-goal season. What do you want him to do when he's not on the power play? What do you want him to do when he's not getting top 6 minutes? When they
He's
put
not
Colin
played that
fucking
much.
Blackwell in the top 6 over him. Jesper Fast in the top 6 over him. It all circles back to David Quinn. It all circles back to him.
True.
Igor would get the C. Yeah, that I agree with.
Mm-hmm. I wish he could.
I agree with Matt. There you go.
There we go.
I agree. Igor should get the C. He's the only one holding himself accountable.
Only if goalies were allowed to get letters on their chest.
Yeah. Lundqvist and Igor.
I'm
Great.
pretty sure
Great
in
captaincy, the captaincy.
Europe for hockey there you can actually get letters on your chest. I think like Lundqvist for Lunda was like where he had a no, what it was actually I think a few years ago I think the Rangers played for Lunda in like some like overseas game before the season started, and I believe that Lundqvist wore the A on his chest. I think in Europe goalies are allowed to wear letters. I don't know if that's actually true. Someone can fact check that, but I don't know. I just remember wearing an A, and so it just
It would be great if he got to wear the C when he was here. He would have been the perfect captain. And yeah, Aiden, you nailed it with this comment. The Rangers don't have a captain. They don't. And I agree, your dog would be the best captain on the Rangers. That would be the best choice.
Louis Domingue, Lulu. What?
I would. The only reason they named Trouba captain is because he threw a bunch of hits last season.
Yeah.
Yes, the modern day Scott Stevens, everyone. Woohoo!
Gallant has like a weird thing with Trouba. I've never watched Gallant play a single game in my life, obviously, because I was not even alive for his time. But if he really likes Trouba that much, I have to imagine Gallant was like the same kind of player, and he's like, oh, he kind of reminds me of myself or himself. Right? I'm just trying to be like Gallant, and he's like, yeah, I'll just name him captain. Which I think is stupid. I think that's kind of like, so I don't know if it's selfish. Maybe it is a little bit just because you're doing it for your own self instead of what's best for the team.
Egotistical too a bit.
Yeah.
Kakko with Zibanejad and Gaudreau. I don't know how that would work out. Barco Gaudreau can't be in the top 6. That's being sarcastic. It just feels like I can't even count on one hand goals that I remember Kakko scoring. But when he has been on the top 6, he never stays there.
Kakko should be parking himself in the front of the net like Kreider.
Agree.
I think that's what he needs to do. He's not. I think his size is more. He's a big guy. He's like 6'3". He's like 200. 210 pounds, 210 plus pounds. That guy needs to, be in the front of the net, getting those, garbage rebound goals like Kreider is, and try to make a living out of there, down low, instead of just sniping pucks like he did in TPS Turk. I don't even know if he actually did that. I have to watch highlights again, but as of right now, that I think your best bet with Kakko, as it looks is, you just got to be a net front guy, and especially on the power play, second power play unit, maybe that'll get him going a little bit, and I mean, Kakko's a power forward. He's not a sniper, so might as well put power forwards down low, kind of like Kreider.
Yeah, I agree. I think that he needs to try a different role because what he's doing is it's not enough. And also, everyone, I'm going to put in chat right now the link to join if anyone wants to. We're going to take live callers right now. So if anyone wants to join, click the link in chat. You don't need a face cam. You don't need anything. The only thing that I ask is that you are stream appropriate. That's all that I ask from you if you do join. But
it's $100 entry fee too. So
that's how $100 entry fee. But no, let's get back to the comments now. Maybe you remember this from Captain Video, but Truba makes me want to jump. Oh my god. Yeah, that video that's not existent anymore because everybody told me I was an idiot, which I ended up being right.
Should put it back up.
How about we bring up how terrible Schneider has looked? What the fuck happened to him last season as a rookie? He was solid. I agree with that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he's been asked this year. And man, if only Niels Lundqvist was still around.
He had a very nice goal. Was it yesterday?
Yeah.
Or maybe want to throw up. But I mean, granted, it was his first goal of the year, but he's talented. But they got a good return, so I'm not mad about that.
It's still just.
I liked him.
There's a
I like Niels.
bad taste in your mouth still.
Yeah.
Like you have to always have these
And they
problems that
need
you're highly
a guy like
anticipated
him on the
by.
blue line so bad.
Mhm.
They really do. The lack of shots from the point it's wild this year. Nobody from the point is shooting the puck. And if they are, they're doing it at a terrible level. But we do have a caller coming in. We got David. David, what have you got for us? How are you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing great. Listen, I love you. You bunch of young guys there. You're probably, if you added up all your ages, you're probably not as old as me. So I started watching the Rangers like in 70, 71.
Wow.
Oh yeah. And so I'm kind of used to this. And there were a few years that, obviously the Cup year in '94. There were a few years, in the 2000 teens, they were pretty good. But man, this has been the worst original six franchise. Maybe the Leafs, I don't know. But this has been the worst original six franchise to root for. So frustrating. I mean, back in the 70s, they were getting beat up by the Flyers. That was terrible. Watching the Islanders beat them, all the time. I lived on Long Island at the time when the Islanders first came into the league. And it was just horrible watching the Islanders win 4 cups and the Rangers just, it was just terrible. Nowadays, I don't know. So the team now, this is my assessment. It's not the coach's problem. I mean, like I said earlier, they've got two second lines. They've got only 2 or 3 players who can skate the puck into the offensive zone. They've got Kreider, who they rely on, who's a mid-range talent guy. I mean, I know he had a great year, and God bless him. But, he's a 25, 30 goal scorer at best, standing in front. He can't create, on his own. Mika's okay. I think Trocheck's been their best player, their best forward this year. Panarin's great with the whoop-de-doo, but anytime somebody wants to check him, it's, that's over. The Fox is fantastic in terms of his intellect. Not a great natural skills guy, but great. At the end of the day, Miller's been a disappointment. Trouba is hurt, obviously. Lindgren's gritty, but beyond that, I don't know. I mean, Schneider played okay at the end of the year. I mean, the whole team was on this sort of buzz last year, but
I agree with that.
But a 5-on-5, they're not a good team. I watch every single game. I've watched it for years and years and years. It's fine. At this point, every time I start to get excited, like it may be a good team, like a solid team, the reality comes through. I mean, look at the Devils. I mean, I know they've been horrible for a few years, but that team can develop talent. The Rangers, I mean, how many years have I watched them first round after first round, second? I mean, first of all, we never get surprised with like, oh my God, look at this 4th, 6th, 7th round guy. He's fantastic. That never happens. And, I mean, the one thing they've had in, I guess the last 25 years is goalies.
Yep. Can always rely on that.
I don't think that it's a coaching, in sports, I know we get involved and we get emotionally involved. The coach is the coach. It's the player's game. All sports, they're players' games. And the Rangers have limited talent on this team. They're playing a bunch of guys who should be third and fourth line guys on decent teams, playing first and second line, and they're praying that these young guys are going to develop fast enough, to carry the team. Really, I mean, Kravtsov, come on, man. I mean, Kakko has shown. I think Kakko's a good prospect, but he's nowhere close to being a solid NHL player. Um, um, Lafreniere, he's not even as good as Kakko in my estimation. I mean, he's got some grit. He checks, and that's fine. But they're playing guys like Blais and Carpenter. Every time I see Reeves on the ice, I am 62 years old and I can skate faster than Ryan Reeves.
Yeah.
I don't understand why he ever plays in the game. I mean, this is not, if this were 1975 and Dave Schultz was coming down on the ice, that's great. But forget about it. He's like, I always tell my friends, he's like a battleship. It takes him that long to turn and go, a play is always going the other way where he's going. So, I mean, they just don't have enough talent. I think Trocheck was a fantastic upgrade in terms of, from Strong. I think he's a great, terrific, solid NHL player. But I mean, they don't have a guy who's going to snipe a goal. They have to skate and get a tip in and get a power play. And, they're going to have to play perfect for them to make the playoffs. And they're not going to beat the Islanders. They're not going to beat the Devils. And, I mean, those two teams, it's disgusting that we have to see that. And this is just it. They're out of money. They don't have enough players in development, or they don't have, in my opinion, they don't have enough talent to develop these guys, and so it's just this perpetual stuff. Once in a while, we'll get lucky and get good for a couple of years, but until there's some sort of wholesale change, I mean, just wholesale change, then I think we're condemned to every once in a while, maybe once every 10 years, they'll compete for a cup. Other than that, it's just going to be, watching teams like the Devils or the Bruins I mean, how is it that Pittsburgh has been good? I mean, Pittsburgh's been good, I mean, for decades.
Yep.
For decades.
Franchise guys.
I mean, it just can't be luck. I mean, it just can't be luck. And we just don't have a culture somehow. Maybe there's too much going on here or over there. I live in California now. But maybe there's too much going on in New York. Maybe it's just not the focus. I just don't know. But I'll say this: I do like your passion about this. I don't know what you call yourself, Core or Python or whatever your name is.
Either one works, yeah.
Yeah. But I tune in after all the games and I and I laugh a little bit because you're so passionate about, oh my God, they lost again. What the hell's going on there? So yeah, I don't know. That's all I have to say.
Excellent points.
Thank you. Thank you for the kind words too about myself. I really do appreciate it. Have a good night, David. We appreciate you calling in.
All right, man.
Yeah.
And I agree with a good amount of what David said. I don't think I disagree with a lot. I think that he does make a great point that this team just desperately needs someone that could actually shoot the damn puck. And it's been an issue for God only knows how long. The one thing that I will disagree with, I think that there is something, I think that a coaching change still could be beneficial, because I think there's something to be said about the system having flaws. I really do.
Like, at least with David Quinn, like, even though our defense was terrible, just as bad as, the one we have now, I mean, at least we were able to score, We would always be in high-scoring games with David Quinn. I mean, that's not ideal, obviously. We would want to win, in convincing fashion, But, at least we were able to score with Quinn. With Golan, I just feel like we can't score and we can't defend. And we have to rely on Igor Shesterkin on the back end. And it's a problem. You're not going to win a Stanley Cup. You may, like last year, couldn't make the playoffs playing like that. Doesn't matter, because you play to win the cup. You don't play to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree. Honestly, with most what you have to say, I agree with you, Evan, that the coaching change, I would definitely consider it if things keep going south. Another point was the Trouba. He gave him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt with the hand injury, but
Yeah.
it's just not an excuse, honestly, to be made at this point for him. And then he was dumping on Kako a little bit with I think he said he wasn't an as solid NHL player. I think he's solid. Would we like more from him? Yeah, but I still am kind of respectively high on a guy like Capo Kako
I
out
still
of the other kids at least.
Yeah. I still have faith in Kako. Like I said, we just have to find, the missing key with Kako, and we just have to unlock his potential. And I guess kind of the same could be said with Lafreniere as well, because it's, obviously, there's guys that don't pan out from juniors to or college to, NHL, but like, I don't know. I just feel like Lafreniere and Kako aren't like, the Nail Yakupovs of the world. And, I feel like they're better than that.
It's really true by Sean right there.
I agree completely with what Sean
Maybe
said.
off the rush with Quinn, absolutely no rush attack under Gallant. Yeah. But my point is, at least we were able to score under Quinn. We
Yep.
can't score under Gallant. And our defense is just as bad as, David Quinn's defense. And, but at least we were able to score. But it didn't matter. I mean, Quinn and Gallant. Quinn obviously not questionable coach. Coach Gallant questionable.
Yeah.
Listen, I'd rather be like 13th in the league for scoring or 14th, 15th, like around, in the middle, kind of like what we used to be. And like, 15th, in the league for, playing defense, you know what I'm saying? Instead of being in the bottom. Like I'd rather be in the middle of both categories for offense and defense instead of, excelling in one and being crap, on the other side of the puck. But we're low on both sides of the puck, in terms of ranking.
Yeah, it's embarrassing.
I don't know how that's even possible. And, and now the Islanders are scoring more than us. Like,
yeah, it's a
they don't
problem.
have nearly as much skill as we do, especially.
That's another thing. Like, that's another like, I disagree a bit with David there, like, too, with when it comes to coaching. Like, what's the excuse for the Islanders? They don't have a name that pops off that's talented, that could shoot the puck well. Like,
I mean,
I don't know. That's why I
he's-
disagree a bit. But Barzell is not even, he doesn't have a goal this year.
Yeah.
I don't know. But we'll get to the next caller. Luca coming in. What have you got for us?
Hey guys. So listen, if we go 0 for 3 for the next 3 games, in this California road trip, I would consider making a coaching change if I were the GM. But I would give it a little bit more time. Like if we lose to the game against Edmonton, I think on the 26th, then I would really consider it. But also Nick, I think you mentioned this last weekend. What was that? Was it Dan Bylsma?
Dan Bylsma.
Yeah,
with
that
Health Valley.
that would be a good option, I think.
I said if we either, talk to Trotz and bring him in, because he said he would. Right, Evan, you said he would be ready by December or something like that.
That was the rumor, yes.
Okay, so the rumor is, Trotz would be ready by December. So you can either fire Gallant and save the season by bringing in Trotz and hopefully he gets his staff together in time, or you hope Pittsburgh misses the playoffs, they fire Mike Sullivan, and then you kind of ride it out with Gallant and you hire Sullivan. But if none of the two happen, then at the end of the year, you fire Gallant and hire Dan Bylsma because that's the closest coach you're going to get to Mike Sullivan. Both similar systems, both great coaches. Bylsma already has a Stanley Cup under his belt with, with Pittsburgh in 2009. He's he can win at the level, at the NHL level. He's kept Buffalo competitive when he was there for a couple seasons. I think Bylsma would be, a great coach for us, but ideally, we would want a Barry Trotz or Mike Sullivan, but I think Dan Bilesma is a great fallback option, though. I think he's like a dark horse candidate, to land, a coaching job in the league. Personally, I don't know. Could be wrong. But
Yeah, I totally agree. And you see those you saw how much offense he got out of those like Pittsburgh players in that one series against the Flyers. It might have been like 08-09. They scored like 9 goals in 2 games in that series.
yeah, I mean, it's
he
aggressive.
can get the offense out of these players,
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
And it's not even like and Bilesma and Sullivan are not even like David Quinn, where their offense can score, but the defense is a liability. Like they actually play with they have their teams play for the most part with like good structure, and they're not gonna give up a crap ton of goals, and it certainly helps to have Igor in the back end that would just make things a lot better. But Bilesma would definitely be the closest option to Sullivan if we can't get Mike Sullivan, but we'll see. I mean, that's up to Jury. Does he want to save the season, hire Trotz, or he wants to ride it out and either hope Pittsburgh misses the playoffs, hire Sullivan, or if they make it, you can look at a guy like Dan Bilesma, but I don't know if Jury would look at Bilesma because I don't think it's hit him that, that could be a guy, but I think he would be great with this team personally.
Isn't he coaching like the Seattle Thunderbirds now?
The Coachella Valley Firebirds. That's
the Firebirds.
I think. Let me see the record right now.
Last we checked, they were, I think, doing pretty solid though, which definitely is a good sign and intriguing.
And even like with Mike Sullivan, I mean, he was an assistant with obviously in New York and Vancouver. I think he was actually a head coach at one time early on in Boston, but that was like only for a year, I'm pretty sure. And then he went to the minor league team for Pittsburgh, did well there. I think he got like 50 plus wins or something like that, got brought up and, pretty much turned the season around for the Penguins in 15-16. And they went on to win a Stanley Cup that year and the year after. Right now, the Coachella Valley Firebirds are 7-3-1, 15 points, second in their division in the AHL. So they're having a solid year for sure.
Wait, how old is Dan Bilesma now?
He's not old at all. Actually, he was actually an assistant with Detroit pretty recently with Jeff Blashill, I believe. Let me see Dan Biles. He is 52 only right now. So
52.
Yeah, he's still young, very young, especially obviously for a coach. So
yeah, definitely an option to consider.
100%.
But Luca, were there any other points that you wanted to bring up before we go to the next caller?
I think there was. I might have cut him off a little bit. My fault about that.
No, you're good. I was just gonna say this team needs to wake the fuck up. If they don't, we're fucked.
Yeah.
We actually might not make the playoffs if they don't wake up like by December.
I'd say by this week. I'm
real?
giving them this week.
I think by December, but nah, I don't know.
That
You're
Thanksgiving
right,
date that scares
as soon
me.
as possible, the better.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that Thanksgiving day for me. That's really all it comes down to.
Remember, and Boston last year by Thanksgiving was kind of like the Rangers, and they kind of came back in the second half of the season. Like they weren't doing so good in the first half.
But you don't want to play catch up.
Yeah, like you guys said earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100%. But thank you, Luca, for joining us. Have a good night, man.
All right, good night. Thank you.
There we go.
But yeah, I agree with him that Bilesma is definitely an intriguing name. They definitely are going to need a coaching change to be considered at least by the end of this West Coast trip if they don't get their act together here.
Yeah, because, there's no one on the market anymore. Honestly, Torch is gone. Boudreaux's gone. Pretty much Babcock isn't going to coach, obviously.
Babcock would be a great guy to bring in here. This for a team that needs someone that's going to discipline them. Babcock would be a great name. If they could pry him out of retirement, that would be definitely a name I'd look into.
Yeah, I still think, there's better options than Babcock. I mean, especially with his history at the Leafs. I mean, there were some things that went on. I don't know, like with the Marner situation or something like
That's
that.
true. But I don't think he would do that. I feel like he learned from that and realized that's part of why he didn't end up landing another job. I think that
I hope he learned from that. Yeah.
I think that things would be different if they were to bring him in. I personally would be a fan, especially with this team needing someone. He wouldn't be my first choice, don't get me wrong, but that would be someone that I would definitely consider if he's willing to come out of retirement. But we'll go to our next caller. We got Aiden calling in.
Hey,
It's gonna be back a little bit for a long fucking time.
What have you got for us?
Honestly, I'm going to the game today. I'm pretty fucking scared.
Yeah,
Fucking
you and I both. I'm scared to watch it.
See, fuck. I mean, I'm going at 7:30. You guys are going at watching it at 10, but it's gonna be back for a little bit. My main points, it's just the issue. I mean, I'm noticing a lot of shit. Me and my dad's very smart on what he talks about with the Rangers. He's making a lot of points and saying that this captain issue, and I know we bitch about it a whole hell of a ton. And I made the point in the comments, we don't need a captain. I mean, I think Trouba shouldn't have named Trouba the captain. And I know we've been bitching all summer about it with Kreider and everything, but we don't need a captain. I mean, fuck. I mean, everyone's regressed since we named the captain. Kreider, is inconsistent right now, and Trouba's fucking dirty ass motherfucker. Fucking want to be Nicholas Cronwell over here, but yeah, everything. But yeah,
I agree with that though. I think that there's no one right now leading by example to the point where there's no one worthy of wearing the C for this team.
all right. I see you guys are laughing a little bit. I'm just making sure I don't have a Jack Johnson picture hanging up everywhere, but get back to it. Yeah, my next point is coaching. To be honest, I think a lot of the things that we're doing with coaching isn't good. I mean, Gallant, I'm hoping that this isn't one of his years like he had with Vegas, where he had that one great season, and then the next year in 2018-19, they completely dropped the fuck off, and we're basically just a average fucking team. They got bounced in the first round.
I think it is that. I gotta be honest.
He got fired the next year. I mean, I'm knowing Trotz could be an issue. I mean, he's pretty, demanding on what he wants. He did say an original 16, so I mean that kind of narrows it down there.
Where the fuck did this guy go? This is ridiculous.
Disappear a little bit there.
Okay, but anyway, yeah, I agree that they might have to consider a change there. But Aiden, do you have anything else to add for us?
I do not.
All right, thank you for joining us for a bit. We
Hey,
appreciate
no
it. Have a
problem,
good
boys.
night, man.
Hey, take it, man.
Love you, Aiden.
All right,
I
now
love
let's
that
get
too.
to. Yeah, we love Aiden here. We love Aiden. All love. Now let's bring in the next caller. Let's bring in Connor, who joined us last time. Connor, back here again.
What's
What have
up,
you
man?
got for us?
So I don't know. I haven't been here for the whole stream, but have you guys talked about the Seattle game?
Yeah,
yeah.
we that was pretty much stream.
Okay,
that was pretty
okay,
much
my
it.
bad. And then you guys were just talking about like coaching and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Potential candidates if things don't go well with this team.
Yeah, I like the Mike Babcock sort of idea, but other than that, I was looking at like the hot seat for the NHL coaches, and it's nothing like too great right now. I mean, you got like I think the biggest names are like Dallas Eakins and Bruce Boudreau. I mean, that could be an interesting one. I mean, he's been all right in the past with the Wild and some other teams, but like I don't know, Mike Babcock. I can't fucking say that. I'm sorry.
It's fine.
Yeah, he would probably be an all right choice, but you never know. Like it's still very early in the season. Shit could happen, you know. Like Tortorella could end up tanking with the Flyers somehow, and this might be a hot take, but I would love to have Tortorella back on the team. Like,
Oh, me too.
Yeah,
Similar-
I mean, they need a guy
Absolutely.
like that right now badly.
Yeah,
They really
yeah.
do.
But I don't
Like-
think he's gonna leave anytime soon with the Flyers.
yeah, no, you're
You
right.
know, unfortunately.
Just wishful
Yeah, the
thinking at this
coaching market
point.
right now is very thin you know, I don't know if you were here for this earlier on, but the three candidates I mentioned for the Rangers, Trotz, Mike Sullivan, if Pittsburgh, you know, misses the playoffs and they fire him. But if not, then you go look at a guy like after the season, Dan Bilesma with Coachella Valley Firebirds, Seattle's affiliate, AHL affiliate. He's won a cup with Pittsburgh. Yeah, those are for me. And then you got Mike Babcock. Shut up, Aiden. Yeah, no, the coaching market right now is very thin. And, you know, I said, what is it? Trotz, Sully, Bilesma. You know, that's like 4 coaches. Realistically, 3 of them could be, you know.
Yeah, and I was just thinking like short term, but I guess if we're
Yeah.
thinking in terms of the next off season, then we got probably some more options and like the ones you said, and maybe even some of the ones I said. And but another thing that I wanted to talk on was like if we can't make a coaching change or like
Mhm.
something like that, like what signings or what trades could we do to like
Well, I think
possibly save the season?
I think if you can't do a head coaching change, you got to look to change out Gordon Murphy. I think that's number one because the defense is playing awful. You got to try to find a guy.
Yeah.
Bring back Jock Martin, maybe. I don't know. You got to find a guy that's solid enough.
It's crazy
as a
that Jeff
coach.
Bukaboom did a better job than Lindy Ruff and Gordon Murphy right now. And, you know, 16, 17, that was a solid year, even though, like, you know, it was like an aging core from like the past runs. And we brought some like younger guys like VC and Buchnevich at the time, obviously, but I thought our defense was still solid for the most part. And Books was, you know, big part of it, but, you know, he dipped to take like a front office role. And, yeah, and then Lindy Ruff kind of comes in and ruins it. And Jacques Martin was better. I don't know why they got rid of him, obviously, because Gallant wanted his own coaching staff. And yeah, here we are.
Yeah, and outside of that, I don't know if there's really any trades or signings or anything you can make right now that would make the team better. Honestly, I really don't like trade market. You'd have to hope a team is willing to make one of their moves early, like a Vlad Tarasenko, who I think is going to be on the move at the deadline. You'd have to hope that one of those guys are going to be on the market early.
Yeah, I mean, one name that I was looking at that was pretty recent was Tyson Jost. I think the Avalanche just let him go, and if he doesn't get picked up, then he'll go to the AHL team for Colorado, and I think that could be really interesting. Another one is I think I might be wrong on this. Galchenyuk might be playing somewhere else, but I'm not sure about that one. Yeah, but you're right. Like trades is pretty. It's gonna be hard to pull off with that one, especially this early in the season. And yeah, I mean, it's tough right now. I mean, we just gotta hope. Wishful thinking, right?
Yeah.
And I
Or, you
think
know,
when
it's
it
gonna
comes
be-
to assigning more, it should probably. I think they really need to sign someone on the back end more than in the forward group. I think that Hayek Schneider pairing is abysmal to the point where I don't think either of them should be playing right now. I really don't. And Jones hasn't been a solid enough alternative either. I think if you could find a veteran D-man, that would be your first best bet. But yeah, Galchenyuk is a name that would intrigue me if he would play in the NHL. I don't know if he's overseas or not, like you said, but that's a name where you could take a flyer on a guy. There's certainly guys. I would look more towards the back end, though, if they're going to make a move.
Totally, I agree with that. The one thing that I wanted to add was like during that whole 2016, 2017 era, like the years before that and stuff like that, like we had, I feel like we said this, but we had like Kevin Klein, we had Keith Yandel, who was iffy, but he wasn't horrible, you know, and We had like an aging Dan Girardi, but still he would at least block a shot for us or something like that. I mean, I feel like we said this, but the defense was better at that point in our just franchise, and so I'm just I don't know if the guys that we had would still be able to like save this defense. I think, like Corey, you said, like we need to improve the defense like externally, you know.
Yeah, 100%. And it just sucks that it's early in the season for the trade market, and they really should have made a signing in the offseason. It was asked for a while why they haven't signed a veteran defenseman, and here we are, and looks like they need one right now. So I completely agree there.
Totally.
Yeah. Was there anything else that you wanted to add before we wrap things up?
I guess one more thing. Trocheck was looking like a beast in the Seattle game. I don't know if you guys talked about that, but he was something to watch. I mean, him and Igor were like
The
out of
only
their
ones that were
minds.
there.
Yeah, really the only ones that were there. Yeah. So, yeah, thanks for having me, boys. I'll see you later.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah,
And have a
talk
good
to you
night.
soon for sure.
See you, man.
All right. And with that, I think we are going to wrap up the episode completely. Now we're 30 in. We got a lot in. We appreciate all the live callers that came in. If you didn't get a chance to come in, next time we'll have callers probably as well. We're going to try to do this every stream. And we're also going to try to start streaming a bit earlier. Tomorrow, Nick, are we still doing the watch along tomorrow? And Nico, are you going to be there too if we do it? We're going to do it.
Hold up. Let me tell you for sure.
Game's out at 10:30, right?
Yeah.
I could probably make like second, third period. I'll let you know for sure.
Game's at 10:30. I'll make sure I'm free. I'll make sure.
All right. So we'll do a watch along tomorrow. So it will be Nick and I for the first period, and then Nico will join late. So be there for that. Going to be entertaining probably. Maybe we'll bring callers on after the game as well to get thoughts on the game and everything. But that's where we're going to wrap things up for the episode. Thank you guys so much for watching or listening, wherever you are listening or watching this podcast. We appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you in the next episode. Let's go, Mets.